What is going on, YouTube? So coming back today with my next NBA draft scouting report. So yesterday I did Denzel Valentine and Furkan Korkmaz, and today I am doing yet another shooting guard, and that is Caris LeVert. So really getting into some of the mid-round depth here. Shooting guard class that's not, it's honestly not very good. You kind of got to dig out some of the deeper sleepers and, find where if your team does need a shooting guard, find out where player strengths lie with your scheme. So get into some of his background stats, information, that sort of stuff. He is a 6'7", 200-pound senior shooting guard out of the University of Michigan. He's from Pickerington, Ohio, and he's got a pretty big 7'1" wingspan. He's a guy that really didn't get much playing time this year. He missed most of the year from injury, and also missed a lot of time last year because of injury too. Only played 14 games, but averaged 16.4 points with, see if I can find rebounds on here, with about 6 rebounds and 5 assists. So good stats while he was playing. Including a 50% field goal percentage, but just didn't play that much. Averaged 31 minutes per game while he was in, but has not played over 30 games since his sophomore year of college. So get into his first strength, which is his size. Like I said, it's 6'7" with a 7'1" wingspan. That's probably the best size you're really gonna find for any shooting guard. He's the definition of what you want in a wing when you're talking about stretching the floor, hopefully being able to defend on the wing, and being able to be extremely versatile on offense, whether you want to drive, just really space the floor, or be able to catch and shoot, which I guess is even more space on the floor. He's a great player for that. Second strength is athleticism. He's pretty fluid. He's a pretty athletic guy. He's able to get up and down the floor pretty well for 6'7". He moves well. He's got, like I said, good measurables. Not the strongest guy in the world, but he does have good hand-eye, knows how to use his size, and also has a pretty impressive vertical. I'm not sure exactly what it measures up to, but watching it on film probably looks around 38 to 40 inches, which is a luxury with that size. So his third strength is his playmaking ability. He's a great facilitator on offense. Like I said, averaging about 5 assists per game this year, yet he did take a lot of shots. Took around 4 3-point attempts per game, and then about 11 field goals. So did like to jack up shots. He's really, when you find him open, he's, I wouldn't say automatic, but pretty damn close to it. Shot 45% from 3 this year. And like I said, the assist numbers were definitely there. Didn't turn it over a whole lot, 1.5 turnovers, considering he had the ball in his hands quite a bit. It's not great, but it's not terrible. Hopefully you see improvement. But like I said, he didn't get that much consistent playing time this year, so it's a hard number to go off of. So get into his fourth strength, which kind of builds off his playmaking ability, and that's his shooting ability. He's a great shooter, like I said, a 50% field goal percentage, free throw percentage of around 80% during his career. His freshman year really wasn't great, but he only played about 10 minutes his freshman year, or 10 minutes per game. Like I said, field goal percentage improved almost every single year. Free throw percentage is solid at around 79% this past year. Attempted about 5 free throws per game, so gets to the line, a pretty average amount for how much he had the ball in his hand, and also a good 3-point shooter, like I said, improved that greatly I wouldn't say every single year, but improved it greatly from his junior to senior year, so it's good to see the improvement in shooting there. He's also a really good dribbler. Like I said, that goes back to the whole facilitating and playmaking ability. So get into his fifth strength, which is his upside. Now, Caris LeVert is one of the hardest players to get a read on in college basketball. Now, he was talked to, if he had stayed healthy throughout his junior year, I think he might have declared, but was not able to, and then I'm guessing he was hoping to come back this year, have a healthy year, and then be able to be a lottery pick, like he should be able to do. He's a guy that you would expect, just watching his highlights, just seeing his measurables and his shooting ability, to be a top 10 pick. He's got that ability. He fits the role of a stretch two of a great wing player with good size extremely well. He will fit in a lot of situations in the NBA. But also, there's some big red flags when it comes to Caris LeVert. That injury trouble is something that you can't really look past. A guy that's missed half his junior and senior year. That's not something that you want to get if you're picking in the top 10, especially in the lottery. So, moving to his weaknesses, first one is injury concerns. So I just mentioned this. I believe he had a broken hand at one point. I'm not familiar with his entire injury history. I know that he's been injured a lot. I followed him a lot in college, but I didn't follow his injuries too closely because it seemed like he was always injured. Had a broken foot this year, I believe. I think the broken hand was last year. Now, I guess the good news, if anything, is that those aren't like long. I mean, it's not like a torn ACL. Neither of them, I think, really seem to be lingering injuries. It's just his fragility is one thing that, you hope can be fixed. I think one thing is he's just got to put on a little bit of weight, add a little bit of strength, be able to play a little bit more of those heavy minutes. He did play heavy minutes his sophomore through senior year, at least 31 minutes every single year. And even, his sophomore year, he was playing 34 minutes per game, played 37 games, while shooting 44% and averaging about 13 points per game. So, you can get a full effective season out of him. It's happened, and I think it will be able to happen in the NBA. Now, second weakness is he's a mediocre defender. He's not terrible because, like I said, he's able to use his size pretty well. He has the ability to be a good wing defender, but the footwork is sloppy. He hunches over a lot. Again, that he uses his size well, but he could use it more effectively when running with guys, especially in transition and running with guys on drives. I'll get into the footwork a little bit later. That's its own problem, but I think it's something that can be improved. Again, mediocre, not bad, so it's not the biggest red flag. Probably I'd say the least weakness that you'd have to worry about on the list of these. So, third weakness is he is consistency against good teams. If you look through some of his other scouting reports, he shot, I believe it was 42 or 43% this year against teams over 500 compared to around 54% against teams that are under 500. It's not a good sign for his transition to the NBA. I think it's more of a result of just Michigan not being a great team this year and him not having really the supporting cast that you would hope for than anything else. And the Big Ten is a very good conference. And Michigan tends to play a pretty tough out-of-conference schedule every year. This is a team that played against UNC Charlotte. They played against Texas. They played against NC State. They got some good quality out-of-conference opponents. And this is a guy that I think can step up, again, if he gets a little bit of health, or if he gets a little bit healthier, and if he's able to get a good supporting cast around him, again, talk about fitting that role that I was saying earlier as a good stretch to a good wing player, and letting him be the offensive playmaker and scorer that he is. So, fourth weakness is his overall footwork. So I was mentioning this it's probably his biggest problem on defense, and it's on both ends of the court. He just seems a little bit sloppy when it comes to footwork when you're watching him on offense and on defense, which I hope can change because he's, like I said, he's very athletic. He can drive, he can dribble. He's good at slashing to the rim. And with his size, his motor, and his athleticism, his rebounding numbers, pulling down like 0.8 offensive rebounds per game, something like that. Yeah, this past year, that's, for a shooting guard, that's good. Averaging about 5-6 rebounds per game is also a very impressive number for a shooting guard. If he can get a little bit of consistency under his belt, this is a guy that averaged 1.8 steals per game his junior year. Not really a guy that's going to get you a whole lot of blocks, but he's also a guy that tends to stay out of foul trouble. So, and he absorbs contact well, which is kind of a surprise for his footwork on offense, which gives you a little bit of hope if he can iron out the footwork problems on both ends of the floor, which, it just takes a good developmental coach in the right situation. and help his fundamentals a little bit. And I mean, he could be a very dangerous player if he can, like I said, iron out some of those fundamental problems. All right, so get into some of his better fits in the NBA, where I think he's going to go in the draft, that sort of thing. I believe in the last one I had him going number 21 to the Atlanta Hawks. That's an intriguing fit just because he could go alongside Kyle Korver, Dennis Schroeder, or Jeff Teague, whoever the Hawks are running with at point next year, and really be able to fit in well with the type of scheme they run. Like I said, some of the weaknesses I hope can get ironed out by then, but there's some better fits that I've got than that. I think that was more of a best player available sort of thing. When you're talking about best fits, I think you're looking at teams like the Hornets, Warriors, Rockets, Kings, and Wizards. Now, out of these, the Warriors are probably the worst fit. I just like that intriguing possibility. Fitting in as a rotation guy, kind of being that second shooting guard behind Klay Thompson that I guess could fill in a rotation if they do keep Harrison Barnes with Sean Livingston, Harrison Barnes. Draymond Green likes to stay on the court, or stays on the court a lot when they're playing small ball. So with that lineup, that's a really intriguing possibility. Another guy that could stretch the floor that seems like one of those under-the-radar picks that really has high upside that I think the Warriors could definitely capitalize on. The Hornets are another intriguing possibility for me. They don't have much depth at the shooting guard spots. They might be losing Nick Batum. I'm not sure if he's going into free agency or not. I mentioned this yesterday with Denzel Valentine. I think that would be a good match. I think they need that type of player that can stretch the floor and be another great shooter alongside Kemba Walker, Courtney Lee, and Jeremy Lin in that lineup. And then the last great, I think the Kings are a good fit. The only thing is I don't think that they're going to pick, I think they got like pick 8 or they're looking at probably like pick 8 or 9, maybe 7, really anywhere from the 6 to 10 range. If I think that's the most realistic spots, but I don't think they're going to pick up a guy like Caris LeVert that early. Probably not going to be a lottery pick. Like I said, the injury concerns just tend to be a little bit too much. It's a good fit, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think the last good fit is the Wizards. Obviously, Bradley Beal having a little bit of injury trouble, and for the Wizards, I don't know if they want to take another injury-prone, good shooting two-guard, just because, I mean, obviously they really already have one with Bradley Beal, who is very good, very potent when he's healthy, but also has a lot of time injured, and Caris LeVert might be another one of those. But if they believe in LeVert and can turn him into that good type of player, that's adding depth that the Wizards really, really need. All right, so I think when you're looking at spots for Caris LeVert to go in the draft, I think you're looking at spots 20 to 30. I don't think he makes it out of the first round, but it is a possibility. You're looking at a late first, early second round pick with the upside of being one of the top 10 best players in this draft. I've mentioned that I like his upside. Some people have he just seems like he's kind of a forgotten player in this draft, and I think he's a guy you should pay attention to. He's one of my favorites in this draft. I can really see the upside from him, and I hope he lands in the right situation. Now, when you're talking about stats for next year, I think you got to take it slow with him. This is a guy that can shoot around 45% in the NBA. Between 43 and 45%, I think, is what you're looking at the first few years for him in this league. And then probably, I'd say, about 15 minutes per game his rookie year. Again, more a rotation player. Like I said, he's going to be a role player in the NBA. I don't think he's really going to turn into a superstar. But he does have that playmaking ability to average, 14 and 6 at the 2 spot as a starter eventually in the NBA. So I think he really does fit an NBA role player slot very well. Like I said, if he ends up with the right situation. So that pretty much does it for this video. Like I said, if you have not checked out some of my other scouting reports, I believe this is like 18 or 19 now. The link to the entire playlist will be in the description below. And then also, if you did not see my Denzel Valentine, that one will be in the outro, the link to that, if you want to go check that out. Also did Furk and Korkmaz yesterday. If you want to see anyone else besides shooting guards done, I'm coming back probably later today or tomorrow with my Zhao Qi, either, can't really remember which one it is, but the Chinese center will be coming back with that scouting report later. So that's pretty much it. It's the information, stats, and all that about Denzel Valentine. So he is a 6'5", 220, actually, excuse me, 6'6", 220-pound senior out of Michigan State. Shooting guard with a 6'10" wingspan. So some of his stats from this year, he was actually the 2015-2016